Good morning, everyone. It's Friday, August 13th, coming to you live from Seoul. I'm Kim Yeon-koung. Before we begin, these are the stories we're following at the top of the hour. South Korean Prime Minister Kim Yeon-koung made a public statement Friday calling for the public's efforts in curbing the spread of COVID-19. He especially called for the public not to attend Liberation Day street protests and to refrain from traveling over the long weekend. Samsung heir Lee Jae-yong was released from the Seoul detention center at 10 a.m. this morning, along with 810 others who have been given a parole to mark Liberation Day, which falls on August 15th. And as the Taliban expands its control across Afghanistan, it has reportedly captured the country's third largest city and a major urban center in western Afghanistan. We start with the COVID-19 situation in South Korea. The country saw just under 2,000 new COVID-19 cases again on Friday. Health authorities are on their toes right now as more people are expected to travel during the National Liberation Day long weekend that starts tonight. In light of the rising public concerns, the Prime Minister gave a public statement just a couple of minutes ago. For more, we have our own Choi Won-jung on the line for us. Won-jung, fill us in.
목요일, South Korea's Prime Minister Kim Yeon-koung gave a public statement Friday morning, specifically urging the public to avoid traveling during the three-day-long holiday this weekend and to stay home for the public's safety. Now, the Prime Minister Kim also stressed the importance of getting COVID tests at testing centers, including the ones in the expressway rest areas, for those planning to travel this weekend, and especially before going back to workplaces. In a statement, Prime Minister Kim also sent out a strong message against those planning to hold an illegal rally on National Liberation Day. Such rallies will be strictly banned. In addition, he said 400,000 doses of a Janssen vaccine are set to arrive in South Korea this weekend, highlighting the government's effort to provide enough vaccines for the public as soon as possible.
Now, Won-jung, before we let you go, can you tell us more about Friday's COVID-19 infections?
Of course, as you know, the country has reported just under 2,000 infections. 1,990 new cases were confirmed on Friday. Now, this is slightly up on the previous day. Now, all but 77 cases were locally transmitted, raising the total caseload to over 220,000. Of those, the greater Seoul area still holds the majority. That's all I have for you right now. Back to you.
Thank you, Won-jung. We appreciate it. Now, just minutes ago at 10 a.m. this morning, Samsung Electronics Vice Chairman Lee Jae-yong was released from Seoul Detention Center. He's among the 810 people who have been given parole to mark Liberation Day on August 15th. But Samsung's de facto leader is still barred from running the company as he's subject to a 5-year employment restriction. The Justice Ministry explained that his release comes after considering both the local and global economy amid the prolonged pandemic. The United States has test-launched an advanced ICBM. While such tests are relatively common, some experts suggest it could also be seen as a message to North Korea, as the regime has slammed Washington's upcoming drills with Seoul. Our foreign affairs correspondent Yoon Jung-min reports.
U.S. Air Force Global Strike Command says it launched on Wednesday an unarmed Minuteman III intercontinental ballistic missile from Vandenberg Space Force Base in California. The missile, equipped with a test re-entry vehicle, hit the surface of the water well over 6,000 kilometers downrange near Kwajalein Atoll in the Marshall Islands. The U.S. Air Force said the test verified the accuracy and reliability of the ICBM weapon system and ensures America's ability to maintain a strong, credible nuclear deterrent and to guarantee the security of its allies. The launch required a month of preparation, and the U.S. says it was not a response or reaction to world events or regional tensions, but the prompt announcement is getting attention, with tensions rising on the Korean peninsula as North Korea protests Seoul and Washington's summertime military drills.
I think the recent ICBM test by the United States has the intention of demonstrating the commitment to extended deterrence to protect U.S. allies in the Asia-Pacific region, in particular South Korea and Japan, against possible nuclear threats by North Korea, but also from China.
Slamming the Allies' joint exercises, Kim Yeon-koung, the sister of the North Korean leader, insisted in her recent statement that the U.S. continues to increase its military threats against the regime and said North Korea will reinforce its defenses and preemptive strike capabilities. The test launch by the U.S. could possibly send a message to the regime, which has been insinuating the possibility of armed protest. Yoon Jung-min, Arirang News.
The United Nations has extended a sanctions waiver for one of its agencies by 1 year in order to provide aid for North Korea amid the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. The UN Children's Fund received an exemption for its aid program to allow it to send essential humanitarian aid to North Korea until August 5, 2022. This comes following a request by the agency due to continued procurement and operational challenges posed by the pandemic. With the first sanction exemption put in place last June, UNICEF's $4.4 million program includes providing drinking water and medical support to communities. Security is rapidly deteriorating in Afghanistan. The Taliban is expanding its control of the country, seizing a dozen provincial capitals. And as a result, the U.S. is moving thousands of Marines into position for a possible evacuation of the American embassy and U.S. citizens in Kabul. Kim Yeon-koung reports.
As the Taliban expands its control across Afghanistan, it has reportedly captured the country's third largest city and a major urban center in western Afghanistan. According to the AFP, the seizure of Herat comes as the militant group has been further squeezing Afghans' embattled government as the U.S. and other international forces complete their withdrawal from the country. It cited Afghan officials who explained Thursday evening local time that the city has fallen to the Taliban, with the group taking control of government buildings. Witnesses say that they heard sporadic gunfire at one government building, after which the entire city fell silent. This came just hours after the armed group took control of Ghazni, which sits along one of the country's major highways connecting Kabul. Meanwhile, fighting continues in the city of Kandahar, the country's second largest city. The country's 12 provincial capitals are now under Taliban's control as of Thursday, according to CNN. It explained that this has left the Afghan capital of Kabul increasingly isolated from the rest of the country. With security rapidly deteriorating, Washington is urging Americans to leave immediately.
Accordingly, we are further reducing our civilian footprint in Kabul in light of the evolving security situation. We expect to draw down to a core diplomatic presence in Afghanistan in the coming weeks.
The U.S. State Department spokesman stressed that this is not an abandonment, but a prudent measure to ensure the safety and security of U.S. citizens. While there are some 650 troops in Afghanistan to support U.S. diplomatic security, the Pentagon is set to deploy 3,000 additional troops to safeguard the removal of American civilian personnel from the country. Kim Yeon-koung, Arirang News.
From taunts to outright assaults, data shows that there were more than 9,000 anti-Asian incidents reported in the U.S. since the start of the pandemic. That's according to a national coalition, Stop AAPI Hate, which collected data on racially motivated attacks that are linked to the COVID-19 pandemic between March 2020 to June 2021. The report says because the virus was first reported in China, a lot of Asian people became scapegoats based on their race. And such incidents are occurring even more frequently this year as the economy reopened in the past few months, increasing public interactions and therefore more opportunities for attacks. South Korea's export and import prices both rose in July. The Bank of Korea says the export price index increased 3.5% on month, rising for the 8th consecutive month to just over 111. This is an almost 17% increase on year, the biggest jump since 2009. The increase was mainly due to higher prices of manufacturing goods, including semiconductors and petroleum products, as well as agricultural and fishery products. Import prices jumped 3.3% on month as raw material prices and international oil prices increased. World experts on space diplomacy have been discussing the current status of space exploration. As the host nation, representatives from South Korea were there as well. Seoul pledged to seek a comprehensive approach based on diplomacy and national security. Kim Demi reports.
Global experts on space diplomacy on Thursday voiced the need for greater international cooperation through diplomacy when it comes to space exploration, including efforts to promote sustainable development goals. To that end, South Korea pledged to take a more comprehensive approach to achieve the goal at the Space Diplomacy Forum 2021, hosted by Seoul's Foreign Ministry and the Science and Technology Policy Institute.
In the coming decade, Korea intends to take a more comprehensive approach in space development, broadening its focus to include the perspectives of diplomacy, national security, and industry, in tandem with advances in technology.
Despite being a latecomer, South Korea invested over $700 million in space development in 2020, accounting for 3.2% of the government's R&D budget. And welcoming the country's recent move to join the so-called Artemis Accords, NASA acknowledged South Korea's strong technological capability.
When NASA looks at Korea, we also see a nation that is very interested in leading in space. More importantly, leading responsibly in space.
Launched in 2017, the American project is an international partnership which includes guiding principles to ensure the future of space exploration is peaceful. Gabrielle Sweeney, the lead international space lawyer for the U.S. State Department, underlined the importance of the Artemis Accords, saying the principles are based on peace and transparency. In addition, with a more active space exploration and development worldwide, a re-examination of global space governance was addressed to better deal with potential problems such as space debris. Kim Dami, Arirang News.
South Korea and Russia took part in collaborative arts and culture projects to celebrate 30 years of diplomatic relations between the two countries. The nation's culture ministry has announced that the resulting videos can now be seen on the program's official YouTube channel. Kim Cheong-ha has more.
Back in 2018, Russia and South Korea announced 2020 to 2021 as the year of cultural exchanges between the two countries, in commemoration of the 30th anniversary of diplomatic relations. And to expand collaboration in the arts and culture sectors, the Korea-Russia Young Arts Project was formed, inviting university students from both countries to work together on certain projects. 40 students were picked to take part in the program, 14 from South Korea and 26 from Russia, for 3 categories: music, theater, and dance. From April 2021, the students met online twice per month with professional mentors to create work, which has been showcased on the program's official YouTube channel. In the music category, students performed Bach's Concerto for 3 pianos in D minor and a creative piece called Immortal Flowers, played in a unique collaboration online due to the pandemic. For dance, 2 pieces were performed where students from each country created moves for music composed by the other country. And for theater, students performed a new theatrical piece named Cafe Contrabanda Club, based on the theme of communication being used as a way of helping those fighting loneliness, especially amid the prolonged pandemic. South Korea's Culture Ministry will count the number of YouTube likes on each video until August 18th. And together with online survey results, we'll pick the best project out of the 3. Kim Cheong-ha, Arirang News.
Now that the Olympics are behind us, we have the Paralympics to look forward to. And with under 2 weeks to go until the Games begin, organizers have a decision to make regarding COVID-19 prevention measures. For more on this, we have our Kim Do-yeon at the News Center. Do-yeon, what are local reports saying?
Mo-kyun, just like the Olympics, it seems like Paralympic athletes will have to perform without the sound of cheering fans. While an official decision will come next week from the Japanese government and other organizers of the Paralympics, according to sources for now, they're weighing up staging events behind closed doors at venues located in Tokyo and neighboring Saitama and Chiba prefectures, regions under a state of emergency, and where most of the events will be held. In other regions such as Shizuoka, Where cycling events will be held, spectators will be allowed, although attendance is capped at 5,000 or 50% of venue capacity. Team Korea will also be participating in the Paralympics, sending a record high number of athletes to Tokyo, a whopping 86 in 14 different events. The events are set to continue until September 5th, with more than 4,400 athletes competing in 22 different sports. South Korean volleyball superstar Kim Yeon-koung announced her retirement from the women's national team, ending 17 years of playing for Team Korea. According to the Korea Volleyball Association, she relayed her decision to the sports national body on Thursday afternoon. While this doesn't come at a surprise, her making the decision official is still disappointing to her fans. In a statement, the 33-year-old superstar said it had been a great pleasure to represent her country and thanked the coaches and teammates who helped her along the way. Kim's departure comes just days after Korea finished the Tokyo 2020 Summer Olympics in 4th place, losing to Serbia in the bronze medal match. While there are athletes like Kim Yeon-koung who served in the national team due to being born in the nation, there are others who chose to make South Korea proud, those who have been naturalized. Lee Kyung-eun has more on one of them.
Oh Joo-han was the first South Korean athlete to qualify for the Tokyo Olympics. The naturalized marathoner was a strong contender, but a thigh injury forced the 33-year-old to pull out in the middle of the race. Oh's journey might not have reached the podium, but he did realize his Olympic dream, running for Korea. Born in Kenya, Oh was discovered and trained by national marathon coach Oh Chang-seok while he was running a marathon camp there. And Korea has become so special to him, being the home of his Korean father. So he wanted to represent the country with the name Oh Joo-han. His name has a special meaning. Joo stands for run, Han stands for Korea. Oh follows after Coach Oh's last name. The name translates into I run for Korea.
Korea is my home and the Olympics is my dream. I want to win a medal.
Winning several international marathons in Korea since 2011, Oh eventually achieved South Korean citizenship in 2018 through special naturalization granted to qualified athletes.
If all goes well, I hope I can be in the top 3 and get a medal. I will train my best and fight for the top 3.
The runner vowed his all to win an Olympic medal after his late coach Oh passed away in May. He will have to make another attempt at it next time, but fans here have already sent their support. And joining him on the next journey will be 4 other naturalized athletes who competed at Tokyo 2020. Rugby player Andre Jean, table tennis players Chun Ji-hee and Choi Hyo-ju, and basketball player Jin An. And for the next 3 years, they will once again try their best to make South Korea proud. Lee Kyung-eun, Arirang News.
Now, before I go, teenage double gold medal winning South Korean archer Kim Jae-deok's interview with our anchor Moon Gun-young will air tonight during News Center at 7 p.m. Korea time. Kim describes what went on in his head before he let go of his arrows, as well as the story behind South Korea's thriving archery team. He also explains his unofficial role as a team morale booster during the Olympics. So stay tuned.
Let's take a look at what's going on in the world now. We start off with devastating news in Turkey, where at least 17 people have been killed in flash floods in the country's Black Sea region. The flood waters brought chaos to the northern provinces, sending water and debris cascading through streets. More than 1,400 people were evacuated from the affected areas, some with the help of helicopters and boats. The flash floods also damaged electrical infrastructure, leaving about 330 villages without power. Flooding also led to the collapse of 5 bridges, with many others damaged, while parts of the roads in the regions were being swept away. In Kastamonu province, one building collapsed and a second building was damaged. The flash floods marked the country's second natural disaster in a week as the southern coastal regions finally brought raging wildfires under control. Over in Italy, 10 Italian cities are on red alert on Thursday amid the country's record heat wave. The country's health ministry expects a total of 17 cities to be on red alert by Saturday. The sweltering heat, which saw Sicily record 48.8 degrees Celsius on Wednesday, setting a record for the highest temperature on record in Europe, is largely due to an anticyclone fittingly named Lucifer. Under the intense heat, firefighters have also been battling wildfires in Sardinia, Sicily, and Calabria for weeks. According to the fire service on Thursday morning, firefighters battled more than 520 blazes overnight, including 230 in Sicily. The wildfires have so far killed 4 people in Italy. Over in Poland, the nation's parliament on Wednesday voted in favor of a bill that would prevent non-European owners from having controlling stake in Polish media companies. This means the bill, which was passed with a 228 to 216 vote, would force Discovery Incorporated, the U.S. owner of Poland's largest private TV network, to sell its Polish holdings. Those against the bill sounded their concerns, arguing the bill would limit media freedom.
This is unconstitutional law that is designed to gag free media, inconsistent with international treaties. Today, it concerns one of the TV stations we all know which one is about. But in fact, it affects the security of Poland. Because no normal investor will want to invest in a country where in one evening a law can be passed, de facto ejecting capital from allied countries.
The bill must still go to the Senate, where the opposition has a slim majority. The passing of the bill also led to tension on the street, with protesters gathering in front of the parliament, where arrests were made after clashes with the police. The media bill is viewed as a crucial test for the survival of independent news outlets in the former communist country. Lee Jae-yong, Arirang News.
Good morning. Jeju and the South Coast have been seeing on and off rain since yesterday, and the wet weather looks set to continue in certain parts of the country through next week. But for today and tomorrow, Jeju will receive up to 100 millimeters. The South Coast and East Coast could also see 20 to 60 millimeters of showers. Meanwhile, southern inland areas could also experience sudden downpours during the day today. Well, heat continues in the west with heat wave alerts, but the highs will hover just above 30 degrees Celsius, which isn't too bad compared to the intense heat we had to bear with back in July. Outside Korea, southern Europe and the eastern U.S. are still under sweltering heat waves. Back in the nation, Seoul and Gwangju will go up to 31 degrees Celsius this afternoon, Busan topping out at 29. Similar weather conditions to today will continue through the 3-day weekend, so those of you living on the East Coast and in certain parts of the country will need to keep an umbrella handy. That's Korea for you, and here's a look at the weather conditions around the world.
And that will do it for us at this hour on Arirang News. We'll be back at noon Korea time, so stay tuned. Thank you for watching and goodbye.